What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Wow, what a crazy day. Obviously, if you're paying attention and you're in crypto, everything is going down. Everything is in the red. We're all bleeding. The sky is falling and we're all going to die. No, I'm just kidding. But in today's video, I wanted to kind of go over some analysis, what I feel like is going on, kind of condense some news. Also, the Federal Reserve, they just put out their, I guess, white paper and thoughts on central bank digital currency, and they're not really taking a position one way or the other, but there's definitely some interesting news there. Overall, guys, the market is definitely down, but to put things into perspective and just keep everybody calm, that's what the point of this video is. So really, let's just dig into it. Really, what's going on right now? Oh, don't forget to hit the like button if you like this kind of information. Definitely helps me continue making these videos. So without further ado, let's jump into it, because definitely this right here, you see Russia proposes ban on use and mining of crypto. I mean, how many times, how many different countries do we have to have that are going to ban crypto, right? So that was just recent. And honestly, I thought they had already banned crypto. Maybe they hadn't. We know China's banning it. All these countries are banning it. You see here, Russia's central bank on Thursday proposed banning the use and mining of cryptos on Russian territory, citing threats to financial stability, citizens' well-being, and its monetary policy sovereignty. All of these central banks getting up on their high horses about financial stability and citizens' well-being. I think it's a crock of BS, to be honest with you. You know, these globalist banks, and I'll just say that, you know, trying to act like they want to protect citizens, you know, purposes. I don't know. I'm kind of dubious, but basically they're saying the move is the latest in global cryptocurrency crackdowns as governments from Asia and the United States worry that privately operated and highly volatile digital currencies could undermine their control of financial and monetary systems. Well, no duh, they absolutely can. But you know, when you are depressed and you are oppressed, rather, for as long as you have, people are really waking up to what's going on in the world right now, especially with, you know, I mean, you got a savings account. I just saw this ad on the side of my screen for a savings, a CD here in the U.S. offering 0.65% APY. It's no wonder people want to revamp their system. So essentially, what's going on? This is definitely FUD, and it's causing Bitcoin to react. People are nervous. And also keep in mind, too, the market is still fearful of the incoming rate hikes, right? We think they've already been priced in, but there's still a shock from that because the rate hikes haven't hit here yet. So now mortgage rates have gone up a little bit over the past month or so, but the actual rate from the Fed, those haven't been raised yet. So I feel like once those actually hit and people see, oh, there may be going to be a 25 basis point increase at most, so not very much. And once that actually has time for the market to react and digest, you know, I feel like there's going to be the opposite effect. So we might be depressed, we might be in a, you know, extended period of this just bloodbath, but hang tight, because mainly what's going on right now, it's just a temporary thing, right? So once the interest rate hikes come, people see that it's not as bad as it is, we're going to see an opposite effect on it. Now, you see right here, the Federal Reserve drops their report. I called it a white paper report, whatever, outlining pros and cons of central bank digital currency. So you see their much anticipated report on the feasibility of issuing a CBDC in the United States. So I actually wanted to go into it, and I'm going to summarize it. It's 40 pages. I read it, and there was definitely some good takeaways from it, but I wanted to go over the highlights of it here in as short of a video as possible for you, because I know you guys, your time is valuable as well. So basically, they didn't really take a position on whether they were going to implement a CBDC or not. Now, the thing is, and it's important to remember, the United States, basically, we don't have a CBDC yet because there's no law, there's no direction. Now we have the bill that was introduced by Tom Emmer, who is trying to prevent the government from even instituting a CBDC. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I don't know that will actually pass. I think I think the United States is going full steam into getting a CBDC, but essentially they want to evaluate, the privacy. They want to evaluate security. They want to evaluate really how this can interact. And so that's what the idea of this paper was, is really just to open up public discussion and figure out what's going on. So they kind of talk about, what it is, what their goals are, provide benefits to households, businesses, the economy. And you see here the key topics. Paper begins with discussion of existing forms of money. They talk about the current state of the U.S. payment system, which, by the way, if you really dig into a lot of the technologies built, from the 70s. And, they're just really kind of getting input from that. Now, there are some interesting things to note about this, and they do go over a lot of good information. And let's actually just scroll down here. They break down different types of money: central bank money, commercial bank money, non-bank money, and they go over. I'll leave a link to this. You can also Google it online, and if you did want to dig into the nerdy stuff of it. But they're highlighting what the main issues are, how the clearinghouse, the ACH payments work. They're laying out the argument for. Then, if you're watching this video, you're probably caught up on a lot of the underlying causes and things related to that. But while the existing U.S. payment system is generally effective and efficient, I don't know if you call 3 to 5 days for settlement efficient, but certain challenges remain. In particular, a significant number of Americans currently lack access to digital banking payment services. Now, I think it's really just a ploy so that that it's a more centralized government control of what we spend our money on. Essentially, they want that, and I feel like that's going to be what's coming. They highlight, though, nonetheless, more than 7 million people, or over 5% of U.S. households, remain unbanked. So, they want more people to have access to banking. They want to be able to know where the money is, where it's being spent. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to win out here in the United States. So, they talk about different types of digital assets and how that's, stable coins, what they're doing. Now, let me actually scroll down to, now this is interesting right here. The Federal Reserve is considering how a CBDC might fit into the U.S. money and payment. So, essentially, they want to make sure, now I find this interesting and kind of funny, they want to make sure that obviously we have privacy-protected CBDC. Now, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Protecting consumer privacy is critical. Any CBDC would need to strike an appropriate balance, however, between safeguarding the privacy rights of consumers and affording the transparency necessary to deter criminal activity. They also, this is very, very important to note, the Federal Reserve Act does not authorize direct Federal Reserve accounts for individuals. So basically, the Federal Reserve cannot lend you commercial or central bank money. Got to go through an intermediary like a bank. Now, the thing is, and it makes a point here, and such accounts, if it did get to the point where we would have individual accounts with the Federal Reserve, that's going to represent a significant expansion of the Federal Reserve's role in the financial system and economy. Under an intermediated model, the private sector would offer accounts or digital wallets to facilitate the management of CBDC holdings and payments. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean an actual bank? So they're saying potential intermediaries could include commercial banks and regulated non-bank financial service providers and would operate in an open market for CBDC services. So if it did come down to this, they're basically saying, hey, the Fed's not going to have an account directly with us, because that would be kind of scary if the central bank, the Federal Reserve, did have a direct account for every single one of us U.S. citizens. They want it to be a regulated, provider. So what that ends up looking like, honestly, in the future, are we even going to have secondary market banks? Are we even going to have a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo, or any of those other large national banks? If we have an account directly with the Fed, they're kind of useless at that point. So they're evaluating that. How would that really work? How would it be instituted? It could be also, I speculate it could be like a hybrid system where we have a CBDC issued by the Federal Reserve, but they use those secondary type regulated providers. It could really even just be like a digital wallet. I mean, we don't really need to even have in-person banks. They also want to make sure that it's widely accessible as a payment, and you see here, identity verified. Financial institutions in the U.S. are subject to robust rules, so they want to be able to make sure that they can combat money laundering and all of that good stuff, which, of course you want to be able to stabilize your currency. But essentially, they really want to make sure that all of this is done. And you see here, they're also worried about the dollar's international role. You see here improvements across border payments. Now we know that other companies like Ripple with RippleNet and QNT, all of this is going to be a key player in this coming revolution of all of these payment systems. Another potential benefit of a U.S. issued CBDC could be to preserve the dominant international role of the U.S. dollar. Whether that actually pans out over the next 5 to 10 years, that is really, it's up for debate. We'll see. We'll see what actually happens to the U.S. dollar. And marching forward, I feel like we're going to have some kind of neutral third party. Third party, would that be a neutral asset? Maybe not necessarily third party, just a neutral asset like XRP. But, this is coming. Now, whether or not, that bill that Tom Emmer instituted, whether or not it actually passes, we're going to have a CBDC. I feel like if that bill was proposed, they're going to modify it where they will be a CBDC in some way, shape, or form, because if we don't have it, the U.S. is going to get left behind. They're just worried about all of how this is actually going to play out. Now, let me scroll down here. There's a lot of stuff here, and I don't really want to keep dallying too much more on this because I want to share a few other things with you. But there was an appendix that I wanted to share, and you might have seen this on Twitter, but this is very interesting, directly related to Quant and a few other projects you see here. They basically outline, they say the Federal Reserve is engaged in a number of experiments related to digital currencies, including a hypothetical CBDC. Anytime they say hypothetical, you know it's coming. These experiments enrich the Federal Reserve's policy discussions related to digital currency by giving experimenters hands-on experience with opportunities. So you'll see right here, let's just kind of scroll on through, exploring a CBDC design that would leverage newer technologies such as blockchain. The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston is collaborating with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Digital Currency Initiative to explore the development of alternative platforms. Now we know Quant Network collaborates with MIT Research Lab. You see, this was all the way back to 2020. They are collaborating with MIT, working on a multi-DLT protocol along with MIT Media Lab's Digital Currency Initiative. Obviously, we talk about Quant a lot because Quant is one of my favorite companies, and they are literally just talking about Quant. Considering use of distributed ledger technology for wholesale payments. The board's technology lab studying how distributed ledger could be used to support interbank settlement, enhancing existing services to support privately issued digital currency. The board's technology lab studying use of application programming interfaces, API. That's what Quant is, to support the issuance, distribution, and use of privately issued digital currency. So they know this is going to be happening. They know that it's the future, and they're wanting to get ahead of it. So again, I'll link this there just so you can see. Definitely moving forward and marching into the future, I'm pretty bullish. Even though right now everything is in the red, I'm not getting upset. I definitely, of course, my portfolio is down a lot. I'm sure a lot of you are, but I'm not panicking because I know I see what's happening. I see the macro view of things, and so when you zoom out and you see what's actually happening, the companies with true utility. People are asking, well, I saw a comment that, utility has been promised for years now. Not really, though. In the history of humanity, in the grand scheme of things, we're only in a tiny little speck of time right now, right? So if it takes a few more years for utility to get here, okay, that's really not that long. That's really not that long of a period. So just calm down. Be calm. Know what, I hate when people say, oh, well, know what you hold. But in this case, yeah, really know what you hold, because these are the assets of the future. Assets like XDC, XRP, HBAR, XLM, these are going to be what happens. Now, let me actually share. I found this article. Shout out to Walter Blue on Twitter. He actually has this really fascinating article here to show the adoption of other apps like XDC. Right now, XDC is on... everything's low, but XDC is another one of these projects that will be tied into the CBDC type world. This one you see here, the actual growth of smart contracts on the XDC network. Now you can see they've seen exponential growth in smart contract creation. Now, they talk about what smart contracts are. We also know what they are. But you see here, more than 1,700 smart contracts landed on the XDC network. And that's just, you're going to see an increasing number of smart contracts on XDC network validate that the network will likely emerge as a significant competitor to Ethereum, dominating the space. So we know that even though things in the short term are not looking good, they're very scary, long term, we're only going to see this space continue to keep growing. Now, I also found this on LinkedIn. I want to share this little blurb related to XDC. This is actually from R3's head of capital markets, Angie Walker. And I'll just play this here real quick for you guys to listen.
That we're seeing in capital markets today are really extensive. We are at an inflection point between sort of the traditions of the world we live in today and where we could go by leveraging the capabilities of DLT. There are some fairly fundamental aspects of DLT which will transform capital markets, and they come in a number of different forms, and we've sort of moved away from experimenting and deploying solutions in very specific parts of the workflow or within individual assets or within individual sort of jurisdictions, and we're really now looking at building out very large in scale global infrastructures with our partners within the financial market infrastructure world so that we can underpin entire life cycles, so we can underpin and deliver services to a broad range of asset classes.
So if you imagine
integrating DLT into an existing exchange infrastructure, which we're doing with a number of exchanges today, it will allow us to drive much greater post-trade efficiency. So we can augment the existing world with DLT to drive much greater efficiency, much greater transparency. We can build out new infrastructures to allow us to deliver a broad range of bespoke applications for digital assets to service their needs. And we can also build out new life cycles for existing and new assets to drive much greater efficiency across those life cycles.
Existing and new asset classes. So we got the Fed rolling out their CBDC or starting that process. It might take another year or two for us to really see some full implementation of that. We got that coming out, though. We got R3 Quarter talking about new asset classes. I wonder what they could be referring to. So you got the CBDC happening. You got post-trade being tokenized. There's just a lot going on. And for someone to sit around and say, well, I'm going to be scared because the market is crashing down, crypto's going to zero. Honestly, I feel like that's absolutely ludicrous to think that. So just, hang in there, be calm, because this stuff is coming. We know in fact, this might be a time to continue to buy more. I know what I'm doing. Now, shout out again to Zepsy on Twitter. He's awesome. He is, he creates the best infographics for HBAR. And I had tweeted to him the other day that HBAR, the HBARbarians, we are definitely blessed to have him break all of this stuff down. But he said, in case you're worried about HBAR's down, what is it, 25 cents today. Why Hedera and HBAR are set to explode in 2022, changing the entire crypto landscape as they do. And he's basically saying, look, mainnet leaving beta. Hashgraph is open source. We just saw that happen just, a day or two ago. We got smart contracts 2.0. Staking is going to be happening this year. Community nodes. I mean, it's crazy. We talked about the Jam token. We talked about how they're completely going to be revolutionizing music. We got NFTs. Like, these are the assets. When I see the prices going down, we see the future. We see where things are going. Now, 17,000 cryptos now. Most of them are going to go. Most of them are trash. They're going to go. But we know right now, just think long term. Look macro. Look macro. Right here, you got, HBAR's roadmap is going to be, we're already past 2022. You see here, or 2021. Let's go into 2022. Longer term scheduled transactions. That's coming. Hedera transactions can execute once sufficient signatures are collected at a specific time on the mainnet. Scalable smart contracts. Improve the smart contract service using Hyperledger Bezu. EVM. You see additional mirror node, performance and scale. That's going to be, they're basically, now we already know they're ramping up their transactions per second. They're going to continue to do that. Support big data size volume between consensus and mirror nodes so that more enterprises can come on. And, they're just going to continue to scale the network. And I am definitely most excited about being able to stake. You see here, this is Q2 of this year. Q2 of this year. In 6 months, look how much the crypto market has changed in just 3 months, right? think about where we're going to be in 6 months. You know, like, calm. HBAR improvement proposal. They're going to revamp that, enable ecosystem integrations, third-party exchanges, wallets, custodians continue to support tokens issued with the HBAR token service. So, I mean, look right here, enable staking rewards. There's so much happening behind the scenes with this. Adoption is happening. We got the Federal Reserve putting out papers on it. You know, it can be like, because we're so early in this space, and you know, if you're like me, you're obsessed with this and you spend hours a day looking at this, but the thing is, we're still, compared to everybody else and really the rest of just people in general, we're still early. If you're watching this, you're still early. We're definitely still early. So don't do anything out of fear. I wanted to just make this video and really show you what is happening, and with the companies and assets that we hold, know what you hold, because the future is definitely bright. We just got to get through this. We just got to get through these little tanks. We got to get through these little dips, because it's going to be part of it, right? Just like we can dip down, we're going to shoot right back up. All right, the stock market, if it dips more than 20%, that's considered a bear market. Well, if we take that same definition and we apply it to crypto, I mean, over the past year, 2021, we had like 9 different bear markets. So just zoom out, look and see where we were, and it's going to be all right, especially if you're invested in the right projects, if you're invested in what adoption is, if you're investing in these networks where the value will be, you're going to be okay. We're going to make it. We're going to get out the other side, and we're going to be wealthy. We'll be able to make a lot of good for the world. So that being said, that is, we're wrapping up the video on this. That's all I got for you today. But I appreciate you watching this 21-minute video. I love being able to make these. Please leave a like, leave a comment. I love interacting with all of you. Honestly, your comments, you guys watching this, it fuels me. It fuels me to keep making these videos, even on these down days, even when the market is red, even when you got a lot going on. I love it. I love your support. Thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you on the next video.